All right, welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Jason,
And Matt?
And this is Gil.
and we just wanted to talk a little bit about. Well, I don't know, Gil. How would you describe this? We're talking about lists and our favorite movies for one thing, but
Yeah, so Jason is a big list man. He makes a lot of lists. And at some point I had this thought about everybody talks about their top 10, right? But we don't often mention our top 20, or at least like 10 to 20, like 11 to 20. And the reason why I thought about that, because I realized that in my top 10 I leave out some really great directors that are worth being there, or at least being close to the top 10. So I thought that maybe the 11 to 20 in some way might be more interesting than a top 10, because of the choice of like, I got to make sure I leave this director in, or that director in, or this movie I can't leave it out. So that's why I thought it might be an interesting subject in conversation. And Jason is the list expert, so I'll be curious to get his opinion about it.
he's not wrong. I do not to go too deep into it, but I do like make a list of every movie that I watch each year, and then I try to make a top 11 every year to just for myself, just to like keep track of what movies I really liked each year and stuff like that. And then there's many other lists.
So you're the baby of the group.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes too.
Yeah. All right. But yeah.
Baby.
I know, Gil, you were saying earlier that you kind of wanted to just talk about it more in terms of just like you said, the directors and some of the ones that kind of should be there, but you feel like they should be there, but they get left out just because of the numbers and things like that. But just to get things going, I'll just tell you, this is not a formal list or anything like that, but I just threw this together today. But I took about, I'd say 250 movies that I have seen. These are obviously all things I've just seen and not stuff, I don't know if some movies are, obviously there's plenty of movies I haven't seen. Anyway, it was painful going from 250 down to about 100. And then from that 100 or so, I took that down to, let me see here, 84 movies. And then I ranked all 84 of those movies, and that was a painful task. And I can tell you,
way too much homework.
Yeah, and I mean, I needed to just do it. I needed to do it.
Yeah. It's like not even for the episode, just
yeah,
for
And I can tell you that generally the 1 through 10 is more or less pretty close to the top, but really, honestly, anything from like 1 all the way down to about 40. I could, if someone made a good case for it, I could bump any of these movies up and down, left and right. It would be very hard for me to really justify exactly where any of these are. But I can give you a general idea of where at least my 11 to 20 is.
Yeah, if you want to start.
And again, this is not necessarily the right order, but this is what it ended up with. So for better or worse, it was Children of Men, Godfather, Mad Max Fury Road, Team America World Police, Schindler's List, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, The Avengers, Aladdin, Serenity, and The Incredibles. Quite a weird mix-up.
Aladdin? Which the animated?
Definitely the animated one, not
No,
the
I'm just
new one. I'm
just making sure. I'm just like, I don't know how Aladdin made it to the top 20. I know Robin Williams gave a crazy good performance there, but I don't know if that performance.
That's my all-time favorite Disney movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, I almost had a stroke. Okay.
No, but this is why I brought this up, because really you have to spread the wealth. Like on my top 10, I do have 2 Kubrick movies. But you do feel like
I assumed you would.
But that's like a nod to my my Lord and Savior, may blessings be upon him. He deserves to have 2 movies in my top 10. Shining and 2001.
Just so you don't feel bad, Gil. I have 2 James Cameron movies in my top 10.
Yeah, that's good. And we should keep doing this drop stuff from our top 10 without actually like giving the
Yeah.
top 10.
Yeah,
But in
I
any
agree.
case, but the rest of the top 10, and I think my top 20, you really try hard to spread the wealth because you want to include people. So it is interesting that you chose to put Aladdin in because then I was thinking like, oh, what animated movie could make it to my top 20? Yeah, so that's like that. It's a good one for sure, or a Holocaust movie, or Schindler's List, or for sure. And by the way, I was in the same place, like different movies, but same place. Yeah. What about you, Matt?
Okay, so I've got Once Upon a Time in the West,
Nice.
Annie Hall, The Seventh Seal, There Will Be Blood, Minority Report, No Country for Old Men, Alien, Memento, Requiem for a Dream, and Mad Max Fury Road.
Hey, we had one.
Yeah.
Which
So,
one was
We both picked Mad Max.
Oh, Mad Max. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like I told you, I didn't really write down a list, but I took the lazy route and I basically look at the IMDb movies that I rated a 10.
Yeah,
Just like an
yeah.
easy way.
Sure.
And it made me think. So as far as an anime, and this is in no particular order, of course.
Oh, wait, real quick, Gil,
Yeah.
I was just curious because you said that. So you basically looked up stuff you've rated in the past. I was just curious because we're doing 11 to 20. Do you have 20 or more films that you've rated a 10?
Yes, unfortunately, especially because when I was young, I gave a 10. I think I've mentioned at some point, to stuff that I shouldn't have given a 10. For one thing, I've given a 10 to 2 Star Wars movies, and which arguably I think should make my top 20. And
Oh,
yeah, and
I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this. Should have been the first words out of my mouth. This entire list for
although
me
of course it
personally,
might make your top
yeah,
10. So
for me, this is sans all Star Wars. I didn't even bother putting any of it up. So yeah, just throwing that
Oh,
out.
okay.
Sorry. Continue.
so and also your top 10. So like if you were to put your just Star Wars movies, where would they be? Like I'm assuming
I
at least one of them.
can't. I don't know. I
Like
mean, like
you can't include them. It's too emotional.
it's like it's too close. I can't be. I know for a fact that I cannot be. What's the word? Why can't my brain?
Objective.
Thank you. I can't be objective about it. It's not possible. I mean, I mean, okay. So you want it? You want to know where it'd be? Like, so this list is right, and just bump everything down like 4. I guess that's where they'd be. They do like that. I'd probably just put it like the top 4 movies. Would be all Star Wars movies. So that's
Wow,
ridiculous.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
which I guess goes into my ratings, like my top my 10 ratings. A lot of them are emotional ratings. Like I've rated Snatch a 10, and Dead
It's a
Poets
great
Society.
movie.
Like it's a great movie, but it's probably an 8 or a 9. But
Yeah.
because I was so obsessed with it when I was young and all that, then you have these these like I gotta give it a 10. It's like those idiot kids that like gave Inception a 10.
Yeah.
Inceptions is not too bad. I've spoken to I don't want to use the same term you just did, but I've spoken to young people who told me that their favorite movie was one of the Transformers sequels.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And by the way, I'm saying idiot kids, including myself in it, because I gave
I know
I
you are. Yeah.
I give Independence Day a 10. Like
That's a great movie.
yeah, but they're all great movies. None of them are bad movies, just that they're not a 10. So
The
yes,
Transformers sequels are bad movies.
so I or argument to not include a Star Wars movie. I might consider A New Hope to be in my top 20 as a movie because I do feel like it's one of the most important movies in film history. It's
Absolutely.
almost like on a level with Citizen Kane,
Mm.
in a way, because it's the whole archetype thing. It really built a story that was so well suited to. It's like the mother of all stories. like from top to bottom, and putting it in the science fiction / fantasy world was just a brilliant move. And then trying to make it as realistic as possible, it's a total game changer. It's like it's like kind of like The Dark Knight. And then another movie that I might have to put on there, because Spielberg didn't make my top 10.
Oh no.
And I think, and this is a whole other episode I need to have about Spielberg, but Jaws. I think Jaws is also a game changer. It's a really almost like, even though it doesn't get the same credit as Star Wars or any of those other big movies, that really it invented the summer movie, the popcorn movie, but it's also an amazing piece of cinema. Like just amazing. Like yeah, like I really think it's Spielberg's best movie. I really like Minority Report, and there's maybe a few other ones that are really good, but Jaws is the closest thing Spielberg came to a perfect movie, in spite of the fact that there's nothing too profound about it, or the story itself. It's not about the Holocaust. It's not about. He's made more important movies, but as far as a pure cinematic experience, it doesn't get any better than Jaws, I think.
Pretty amazing.
And then another one is we thought about animated, and I do think Waltz with Bashir. If I had to consider one animated movie in my top 20, I might consider that one. I would like to go with something more cutesy for animated, but more like a Pixar or something. But I really do feel like that movie got what you can actually do with animation, like how you can use it to a profound effect, with the ending of that movie and how it kind of twists. So that's another one that I would consider like including in my top 20, and it would be the only Israeli movie in my top 20.
Yeah, I would agree with you with Waltz with Bashir. I mean, I wouldn't put it in my top 20. I would just put it in my top 5 of any animated movies I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not particularly fond of animated movies to begin with. So if
it's
an
still high
animated
praise.
movie, if an animated movie really hits me in the gut, it says something. So yeah, that was something special. But
highly recommended. Yeah, and then another big one is Paul Thomas Anderson. I didn't have any of his movies in the top 10. And I feel like even though There Will Be Blood is his most important movie, I feel like my favorite movie of his is Punch Drunk Love. And I know it's not a very popular opinion, but I really feel like Punch Drunk Love is a near perfect movie. So I would maybe squeeze that into my top 20. So I think I'm up to like 4 now or something.
Something
4
like that.
movies.
yeah.
Yeah. So after that, I have Fellini, I have Bergman in my top 10. Sergio Leone, I believe I have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in my top 10, and I think Once Upon a Time in the West needs to make the top 20. Like he's another director that needs to get like at least 2 movies in the top 20. I'm trying to think of
Actually,
who else. Yeah.
The funny thing is, Once Upon a Time in the West made my top 20, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly didn't.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, but that's okay. Honestly, I do wonder. For me, they're interchangeable. Once Upon a Time in the West is my favorite movie of his, but I feel like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is like in a whole other category. Like it's just it's kind of like the 2001 of westerns.
It's not even it's not even really a movie. It's kind of like what
it's an experience.
It's kind of like right. It's kind of like when if you get high and go to a planetarium to watch a laser light show to Metallica or something like that for 3 hours or something. I mean, it's
interesting comparison.
It's brilliant and it's fun and it's awesome, but I think that Once Upon a Time in the West is just a better story. So,
those two are my favorite of his films.
Yeah.
Even though I love several of his other movies, those were the only two I even put in the top 250 just because of the competition of other movies. But I did, as you heard earlier, I put The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in my top 20. And then Once Upon a Time in the West, even though I really love that movie, I don't think, I'm checking right now, if it's in here somewhere, it's down towards the 80s. Otherwise, it would be in the beyond that.
All right.
Yeah, and I mean, two other like standout directors is Aronofsky and Alexander Payne. So I'm conflicted about this because I really I need to see Sideways again, but I do wonder if that movie is also almost like, in the Punch Drunk Love sense, it's not like the best story or the most important story, but as far as like movies that just really like edge on perfection level, like they just can't hit a wrong note, like everything about them is perfect. Either Sideways, I really like Nebraska too, but it's not a top 20 movie. Sideways just really I think it's something special. So if I were to like at least a top 30 movie for me. And Aronofsky, I did rate. It's an old rating, but Requiem for a Dream, like Matt, you said right, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder where I stand on his movies. The Wrestler was really good.
Yeah.
I guess Requiem for a Dream is his best movie still. He was just very inspired when he made that movie. So I just don't know if it's a top 20.
Those are my top two for him. And
no,
I have a hard time deciding.
I actually placed The Wrestler in my top 10. That's why
never mind.
He was gonna do that. I knew it.
That's good. That's
this whole time he said what you said Requiem in your list, and I was like, you were staying quiet, and I was like, I bet you he has The Wrestler in the top 10.
Yeah. It's good. We're discovering our top 10 indirectly.
Yeah.
So in that case, yeah, The Wrestler is good. It's just not. It's Requiem for a Dream was really something special as far as a cinematic experience. Like he really went out there. He's like the Citizen Kane of like the modern age in a way. And on that note, I do think like Citizen Kane, it doesn't make my top 10. I think I need to include it in my top 20. There's other movies of Orson Welles that I like a lot, but unfortunately, I do think that he's never topped that one. Like it is his best movie. Like some of the other ones are quirkier, they're interesting, like Touch of Evil and what is the lady from Shanghai or something. There's a few that they also did an adaptation of the Kafka, the trial book, which I also liked. But yeah, Citizen Kane is his best movie. I think I'm like at 7 or 8 movies now, and then yeah, and I think Nolan has to make it too, and I do think I'm still with Memento. Like I think it's still his best movie. As much as The Dark Knight is a consequential movie, it might be a top 30. Yeah, so Memento, and then the Coens. Maybe I wrap it up with the Coens. The Big Lebowski, I rated a 10 for the same reason that I rated Snatch, is because we rewatched it in the army like 55,000 times, and it was still good. It never got boring. But I really have a soft spot for 2 other movies, either A Serious Man or The Man That Wasn't There. Right? That's the title. Yeah, the one with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, the man who who wasn't there, but yeah, the
Man Who Wasn't There. Yeah, it was an odd title, so it's tough to remember the exact wording. But it's been a while since I've seen it. But that, like joking aside, like Big Lebowski and the comedy side of the Coens aside, those 2 movies are the closest thing they got to perfection. I do think A Serious Man is. Really love the ending of it, but The Man Who Wasn't There is just a really satisfying movie, top to bottom. I don't know, it's something really special. And then the last thing I would say about Jason mentioned Cuarón, like Alfonso Cuarón, like Children of Men. If I try to squeeze him in there, I do wonder. Children of Men is a great movie. I kind of put it in this category with The Usual Suspects in a way, of like these movies that are just so bombastically good when you first watch them, but then the more you think about them, the more you're like, maybe I guess they were a bit too gimmicky, and maybe there wasn't that much more to them. Um, so it's tough for me like to decide whether it makes the top 20. But either of those movies, by the way, I'm also a big Usual Suspects fan.
Yeah.
But I think they're like top 30. So I don't know. I think I gave close to 10 movies there. But those
Just
are like
about, yeah.
some of the directors that I felt like didn't make it to the top 10 and should have been in the top 20. So I'm sure, and I'm sure, like any lists, I'm forgetting some really important ones. But
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to Alexander Payne, it occurs to me that I mean, obviously, Sideways is one of my favorite movies ever, and I mean, he's pretty much consistently been like one of those guys where if he's coming out with a movie, I'm going to go see it. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I'm going to go see it. But it is one of those things where it occurs to me that he's kind of clumped in. Like most of his movies are pretty much in like the 30 to 60 overall ranks for me. I mean, he's never really made that movie that's pushed through the top 20. But still, when you've seen as many movies as we all have, if you're consistently making movies that are in like the top 30 to 60, holy crap, you're really good. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I completely concur with what Matt just said. And I mean, like my two favorite Alexander Payne movies are Sideways and The Descendants. But I put them both on my list of like, I don't know, 250 or whatever that I had. And when I think about those movies, I think, how on earth could those not be at least in the top 50? And then I start reading down this list, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'd put it in. I don't know what I'd bump. You know, there's just too many good movies.
yeah.
yeah, and I'm not sure that. And by the way, whether it's Sideways, yeah, definitely Children of Men probably doesn't make it, or The Usual Suspects. So I do wonder if, with some reshuffling, one thing I realized, I forgot a Holocaust movie, because Schindler's List doesn't make my top 20. It's even though it's very good. I think Life is Beautiful. I think that one is a very important movie that I feel like should make the top 20, because it did come from out of nowhere and kind of like
Yeah.
just like brought a whole approach to what a Holocaust movie can be.
Yeah, that's another one that's in my top 10. So
Top 10.
but
So yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned the Coens. I mean, when we've talked about this at length, obviously, in the past. My favorite of theirs is Miller's Crossing, and I can't believe that I didn't put it in my top 50. I'm looking at it right now. It's like, I don't know, it's lingering down somewhere in like the 60s or something like that. And it's like, once again, I scroll up and I'm like, I don't know what I'd bump. I'm looking in them. It's just too many good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, some other ones that came up that I don't think make my top 20, but I rated a 10 is like Midnight Cowboy. I think it's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Godfather, I think I rated a 10. I think the original one.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a big fan of the second one. I need to rewatch them with Diana, because like she keeps saying, like, we wanted to, before COVID and everything, we thought like, oh, like let's wait till they're like at the Aero Theater or something so we can see them on the big screen, and it just never happened. So now we just like stream them because she needs to see them. But the first one I was a big fan of, but the second one is good. It's not amazing, but it's very good. But yeah, neither of those I think make my top 20. But yeah, there's a lot of good movies out there.
I put the first one at 12.
12?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Godfather?
Godfather.
Oh, did you mention it in your list? Oh, yeah.
I put it at 12. I mean, it could be anywhere in that list, though.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably top 30 for me. Got to be top 30.
Yeah, he put it in my Annie Hall spot, but
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Annie Hall spot, just to like fuck with you. Yeah.
I think I'm the only person who put a Woody Allen movie in the top 20, right?
Definitely.
I'm trying to think which one I would have put as my best, as my favorite Woody Allen movie. I think I had one in like the top 300 or something, somewhere around there. But I mean, I'll tell you, based off our last conversation when we talked about Annie Hall, it did cross my mind when I was making this list, and I was like, oh no, why would I put Annie Hall on there? I'll put When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, my last experience with Annie Hall wasn't entirely positive. I was just there on the couch with this attractive redhead, and I kind of convinced her, like, hey, why don't we Netflix and chill? And I put on Annie Hall, and 15 minutes through the movie, she just said, "This movie's too smart for me," and she curled up and went to sleep right next to me. So that didn't work
about
out.
that story sounds like you were doing something wrong, but anyway, I'm not going to comment.
You can cut that out, but I don't know. But I mean, it's a I don't know. It's a really good movie, and it just gets better when you read more books. But
okay.
Wow.
But yeah, you know what? An interesting subject of conversation is like, it's it's very easy to do with these ratings is like best movie by each director, because I see, like, for example, the Big Blue, which was directed by
Le Grand Bleu.
Le Grand Bleu by Luc Besson.
Yeah.
I guess that is my favorite movie of his because I rated it 10. I probably The Professional, like Leon, is a close second. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, probably Miloš Forman's best movie, even though I know some people consider it a flawed movie. No.
I think it's a great movie. I still think that The People versus Larry Flint is really, well, at least
Very
close. Yeah, I mean it's one of those movies that it's so hard. Especially in the 90s, you've got to imagine that it was really hard for Miloš Forman to make a successful movie about a porn peddler and everything like that. But I mean, there is so much in that movie that is like kind of Citizen Kane-esque, and it also has a really important message behind it. Yeah, The People versus Larry Flint is one of those movies that I just kind of sat on for years, just kind of having a passing interest. And then once I saw it, it blew my fucking mind.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, other ones, if I were to place a comedy in the top 20 or top 30, it would probably, I didn't think about Team America. That might actually be up there. Obviously, Doctor Strangelove and Young Frankenstein, we spoke about those in the comedy episode. So those three probably could make the top 30. Those are definitely there. And then Back to the Future. I put those movies at a 10. They're probably Zemeckis' best work. And I'm not sure if it's all three of them. This is the second and the third one I think I put. The third one definitely is not a 10, but but the second one I really think it's like the Return of the Jedi of that trilogy. It's just a really solid movie through and through, as far as like,
it's one of the few movies that's like that. It's where they do a kind of a, well, obviously the time traveling allows them to do it, but where you're doing a sequel, but instead of it taking place after or before, like a prequel, it's like a story that's taking place simultaneously with something you've already seen. That's really interesting.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's to me, it's like, you go to the past in the first movie, and then the second movie, you go to the future and the past. You can't get better than that. Because then the third movie, they go to the West, and that's cool, but it's just a Western. You know, it's like another episode of this show. But
I
the
think
second
the third one is it's a perfect third movie, but it's definitely not it's a perfect way to end it, but it's not as good as the first two.
Yeah. And there is, honorable mention as far as Clint Eastwood movies. I do think Mystic River is probably my favorite movie of his. So if it were to make like say a top 30, it's very possible.
I mean, Clint Eastwood actually said after he made Mystic River that I think he actually was quoted saying, "I don't know how to make a better movie than this."
I really think Unforgiven is overrated at this point, with all the good movies that he's made.
Well, I mean, Gran Torino also was really fantastic. Letters from Iwo Jima. The man just keeps cranking out really good stuff, and I mean, even his mediocre stuff is still kind of good. I mean, Cry Macho was really disappointing, but it was still. But I mean, when you call a movie like Cry Macho disappointing, it means that you're expecting a masterpiece. And every time Clint Eastwood comes out with a movie, I'm expecting a masterpiece. And Cry Macho just wasn't a masterpiece. And the weird thing is, like, Cry Macho was kind of like a rehashing of Gran Torino in terms of what the story was saying.
Yeah.
And the characters and everything like that, and it just wasn't as good as Gran Torino.
Yeah, I think I put Mystic River at, where is it? It's on here somewhere. Oh, it's like 62 or something.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of this is a whole other subject of conversation. We should end this soon. But there's a whole other discussion about whether it's Clint Eastwood or Spielberg. There's a lot of these directors. Definitely not. Woody Allen makes a lot of movies, but he's not at the same quality as Eastwood and Spielberg. But that make a lot of good movies. Or we said Alexander Payne, very high quality movies, but none of them seems to be like, Taxi Driver good, Raging Bull good. Taxi Driver being in my top 10. Raging Bull, actually, not sure, maybe top 40. But I do wonder what that is. Like, why is it that Spielberg just barely scrapes my top 20? Like, why is all his movies so good, but none of them are amazing? Like what is that? It's and I do wonder if that's their movies are maybe not as personal. Like, it's, they basically take scripts and they make them into very good movies, but the only one that really Spielberg put his mark on, like, actually wrote it, was Encounters of the Third Kind, but and it's definitely not his best movie. But so yeah, I don't know if there's something there to directors that are very, very good consistently, but none of their movies really, they wouldn't peak at above 10.
That's kind of an interesting thing about Spielberg, because I'm pretty sure that I have 2 of his movies in my top 10, and one in my and one in my 11 to 20.
That's that's your Kubrick almost. It seems like.
I've got Kubrick up there too, but I mean, my top 2 are City of God and Come and See. But
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. At least I think that's it. I haven't looked at my top 10 list in a while, but I also have Heat up there. But yeah, I mean, it's all subjective, and it's all what resonates with you and what sticks with you, and so on and so forth. But
I am curious to know: is there any Malick or Tarkovsky in your top 10?
I think I listed Ivan's Childhood in my top 10.
Oh,
but
I guess I need to see it. It keeps coming back.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I think I saw it one time and I don't remember anything from it. But
yeah, but yeah,
I can see whatchamacallit, the New World. I can see making my top 50, 40.
yeah, yeah. That movie is deeply underrated,
Yeah.
very underrated.
I agree that it's underrated. I still didn't get it into my top 200.
Well, yeah.
I also agree with what with everything the sentiment of what Gil was saying. I just think that for me personally, Spielberg would be a bad example of that because I think, like you said, Alexander Payne would be a perfect example of it. But like I just counted right now, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've got about 6 Spielberg movies in sprinkled throughout top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50. Like just at least one in each 10, basically. Yeah. And my highest rated Scorsese movie is like Goodfellas at like 65 or
really?
so ish.
No love for Taxi Driver?
I mean, I like Taxi Driver a lot. I just I don't know, like it's good. It's not
It's
it's
a
not
very
Schindler's
special
List,
movie.
you know.
Yeah, Schindler's List is kind of sappy, but
It's
it's
not
still.
Jurassic Park, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know what? Jurassic Park is a really good movie. It's not Jaws good, but it's close. It's close. Like yeah, like if I had a top Spielberg, like it was Minority Report, Jurassic Park, Jaws. I don't know.
I actually swapped out Jurassic Park in order to put Minority Report in there. I
Yeah.
was like right on the yeah, I was trying to make the decision. I mean, I did IMAX projection on Jurassic Park, so it's always going to have a special place in my heart. But I mean, Minority Report is the movie that I still always watch once a year, and I'm probably going to watch again once we get off of this podcast.
Wow.
Because I love that fucking movie. I mean, it's just it's so good, and it's so thought provoking. It is innovative, and it's I mean, not only is it innovative, but it's innovative while also being great from just the nitty gritty basics of filmmaking. I mean, like, you know, I mean, one moment you're just in awe of Spielberg's ability to use technology to make a shot happen, and then the next moment you're just in awe of Spielberg's ability to just compose a simple two shot. So, I mean, it's it's just a clinic in filmmaking. So,
And
I
it's
love that
probably his
movie.
most profound, his most profound movie too, because like the movies that we mentioned, Jurassic Park and for me Jaws, they're not that profound. Like there's nothing
No, they're
about the
not.
story that's, but it's just yeah, like a pure cinematic like experience.
I put
Yeah,
Minority Report in the low 40s. I feel like I should bump it up higher because I completely agree with what you're saying. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't like it better than Jaws. You know, I feels wrong to put it higher than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah, Raiders is pretty good, even though it's sort of like a B movie. When I first watched those movies, like they're kind of like B movies, and then I realized that's what it was going for.
I mean, Minority Report is definitely, as you kind of hinted at and said, it's got more to say. I think it is a
yeah.
more profound movie. I just and I love that movie. I really do. It should be higher. I just don't. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of other
Obviously,
stuff.
there's no insults here if it's like
Yeah.
top 40, top 50 for sure. It's
No, I can't get my brain around it though. Like it should be higher on this list. I just don't know. There's a lot of damn movies on here.
I will say one thing I saw before I forget is the two movies that I should include somewhere in the top 20 to 30 at least is maybe swap those for Children of Men and Usual Suspects is Moon and Ex Machina. I feel like as
good
far as
Oh,
like
movies.
yeah.
recent science fiction movies,
Very
not
good
that
movies.
recent, but still like
last
in the
10
last
years, right?
10 years, I feel like those should be somewhere in the top 30 for sure.
Gil, one thing maybe you did mention and I just missed it. I don't know. Did you have some Hitchcock up there?
Yeah, you know, it's tough. I mean, I have Chaplin in my top 10. I considered putting him in my top 22. I'm kind of go back and forth about City Lights and Modern Times. I think those are like his two best movies. And then Hitchcock, I don't know. Hitchcock, it's the same thing as Spielberg. I think he's like a master technician. Psycho is probably one of his best movies, but then there's North by Northwest, which is there's something about like the pure cinematic, and then he's got the Rebeccas and the other ones that are like just more, classically like classic Hollywood type of thing, but none of them just I think Psycho is his most. Oh, you know what? My favorite. Sorry, I forgot. Like my favorite, like Hitchcock movie's got to be like Rear Window. I think Rear Window.
There it is.
He really
Yeah.
did something special with Rear Window. It probably makes the top 30. I'm still not sure if it's top 20. Psycho is also.
I thought you were going to leave it off. I was
well,
like,
I
I can't
was gonna
believe he's not
forget.
mentioning Rear
It's
Window.
it's so difficult. There's so many movies, but yeah, Rear Window is pretty unique. I gotta say, like as far as like Sidney Lumet, like too, like there's Network and 12 Angry Men. I mean, there's so many good movies, and he has the one about the Jew with the what should we call it, the pawn something.
The pawnbroker.
The pawnbroker or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah. With the guy from Rod Steiger, from the Sergio Leone movie.
That's a good
Ducky
movie.
Sucker. Yeah, but probably Network and 12 Angry Men is his two best movies.
I would say 3 Days of the Condor.
3 Days of the Condor? What?
Oh, did you say Lumet? I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about. I'm sorry.
Sydney.
My bad. I'm going off on a different tangent here.
Oh, yeah, but I will say, what's his face? Was the other Sydney? The one from 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh, Pollock.
Pollock, yeah. Actually, because I was gonna say Sidney Pollock. You remember in the comedy episode, one comedy we didn't mention that was like very highly regarded is Tootsie. Tootsie was a pretty big comedy that was highly regarded. That was him, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
No, I think if anything that there's just a lot of good filmmakers and movies out there, so it is very tough to do these rankings. And I think I was saying that I was trying to think if there's any big filmmakers that either of us forgot that maybe we should include. I don't know if you guys have any.
Let me look on the list and see if there's.
I mean, Herzog.
Herzog,
sure.
Yeah,
he's good.
I mean, but top 50 maybe. I'm not sure about the
I mean, you mentioned very briefly Luke Besson. I put not in my top 20, but I put what is it? The Fifth Element somewhere. Like top 30.
That is a very good. If you ever make like a action movie or like popcorn movie, top 10, 20. That would be an interesting list. Definitely.
Yeah, Gary Oldman in that
amazing.
really, really eccentric role, even for Gary Oldman.
Yeah. You guys didn't seem to list anything from James Cameron. I feel that was a major oversight, but I'm just going to mention it.
What is his best movie? I'm trying to think. It's got to be T2, right?
That's what I put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Cameron doesn't do what James Cameron does for James Cameron. James Cameron does what James Cameron does because James Cameron is James Cameron.
So true. So true.
Yeah, no, I think I'm trying to think of any ones that we might have forgotten, but no.
Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah, I mean Guillermo del Toro and Inarritu, I think both their movies, they have some really good ones, but I don't know if they make. I mean, maybe top 50.
Marion C. Cooper.
I mentioned Bergman.
Yeah, Bergman is my top 10.
Yeah.
Fellini's in my top 10. Yeah. Oh, Koslowski. Yeah, Koslowski is a tough one because he
Yeah.
I feel like he's almost like, because the trilogy, the Three Colors, is tough to like take out a movie and consider it like as one of the best. And it's almost like a Tarkovsky for me. He's a bit too slow. Like I appreciate him more than Tarkovsky, but it's just too slow to consider it like a top 20 or top 30.
That's amazing, thinking that comparing him to Tarkovsky, and Tarkovsky actually literally had a shot in the movie where it's like 10 minutes of a guy trying to light a candle. But yeah.
No, they're both slow, but
Yeah.
Zemeckis?
Zemeckis, yeah, that's Back to the Future. Got to be.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did mention him, and he's got some other ones.
I put Romancing the Stone as 21.
Really? Okay.
I love that movie.
It's good for you. I barely remember that movie. I don't even think I saw it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot about it, but it's maybe I should see it now just to refresh my memory.
Peter,
I know, like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was about to say Peter Weir, but you said Dead Poet Society, and that's one of his.
Yeah, he did say that.
So,
yeah, it's got to be top 30, top 40 Dead Poet Society. And I was gonna say Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam, I think Brazil and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Those are two movies that I feel like are very consequential, like maybe top 40. And with that, I think I'm done. I think I've tried my best to not forget people, but I'm sure I did.
Mel Brooks?
Yeah, I said Young Frankenstein. I would consider it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah.
hear.
Team America, Young Frankenstein, and Dr. Strangelove would be comedies
Yeah,
that would
that's
make
right.
my
You
top
said that.
40, 50. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's a lot of good stuff out there. I guess we'll keep watching.